And this is Sahira. Super excited to be back here today. Good to have you. Welcome on board. And this is your channel where you hear everything migration, infotainment, healthy lifestyle, and so on. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so immediately. Like and share our videos. Hit the subscribe button and don't forget to turn on the all important notification so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Keep it logged right here because this is where you get all the latest. What are we talking about today? Let's go there.
In today's video, we will be telling about the latest from the United States regarding Trump's immigration and mass deportation crackdown, the immigration programs already affected, and how the crackdown is rippling across the U.S. U.S. President Donald Trump's immigration reforms, which aim to tighten visa rules, raising concerns among foreign workers, students, and their families about job security and future prospects in the U.S. As Donald Trump took office, his bold proclamation to revamp America's immigration system sent ripples across the global workforce. Among those most affected are the thousands of foreign workers in the U.S., many of whom are now grappling with the uncertainty of sweeping visa reforms. President Trump is moving ahead on his promise to deport record numbers of migrants. His first month in office saw him giving immigration authorities the power to expel migrants without legal documentation more quickly, and workplace immigration raids began in cities like Chicago and Newark, New Jersey, and so on. Immigration has always been the lifeblood of America, helping to create a unique melting pot of culture and history. However, the fight over who belongs and who does not is as old as the country itself. Since his inauguration last month, President Donald Trump has been testing the limits of his power through a flurry of executive orders. He's working to deliver on his campaign promise to crack down on immigration by targeting areas like birthright, citizenship, and refugee status. In Denver, Colorado, Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE raids are reported to have begun in an apartment building in the early morning hours. Working with Drug Enforcement Administration (D) and Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) agents, they knocked on doors, stopped cars, and took multiple people into custody. It was just one of multiple immigration enforcement operations happening throughout the Denver area that day, the report says. Law enforcement said publicly that they were targeting the most dangerous undocumented individuals. However, it was said that the agents went door to door, questioning residents at every unit, more than 100 in total, demanding identification and asking if drugs were inside. While large-scale operations like this can net arrests, residents said going door to door created unreasonable panic and fear for everyone involved. In the southern border in Texas, report says the enforcement actions have also created tension in the communities surrounding U.S. ports of entry along the southern border, especially in Texas. These ports are the economic lifeblood of their regions, both by water and by land, but they are also where U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) is focused on stopping the flow of both migrants and illegal drugs. At the port of entry in McAllen, more than 700,000 trucks of cargo, worth more than $50 billion, are said to be scanned every year. In Central Valley, California, the idea of cutting off all illegal crossings is popular with some Americans, but other groups urge a cautious approach on enforcing the law against groups of undocumented workers who are already here. In California, roughly half of all farm workers are undocumented immigrants. At a dairy farm in Tulare County, some are said to be hopeful for systemic reforms because his farm relies heavily on migrant labor and he would like to see a pathway to keep them here in this country legally. In Chicago, Illinois, the battle over immigration has also spilled into federal and state courtrooms, with the Trump administration filing suit against the city of Chicago and state of Illinois, accusing them of obstructing federal immigration policy. Illinois denies this accusation. Chicago is a sanctuary city, which means that it largely does not disclose immigration status to authorities or denies services if a resident is undocumented. Some residents said they are feeling the impact of the Trump administration's crackdown. On the city's north side, many migrants gather near a busy shopping area to look for work each day. One man from Colombia said he has been in the U.S. for a year and a half and looks for whatever work is available so he can support his family. Generally, what are sanctuary cities? There is no official definition of what constitutes a sanctuary city or state jurisdiction. In general, it refers to a policy that limits or defines the extent to which a local, state government will share information with federal immigration law officers. Literally, a sanctuary city can be said to be a municipality that limits or denies its cooperation with the national government in enforcing immigration law. Sanctuary cities include New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia, San Diego, San Jose, San Francisco, Seattle, Denver, and so on. Over the years, in response to greater attempts to enlist state and local law enforcement in the work of immigration enforcement. Certain communities across the United States have proclaimed or been given the label of sanctuary cities or jurisdiction status. Sanctuary jurisdictions exist throughout the United States in the form of cities, states, and counties, but their operations and descriptions are unique and individual. Where have the deportations been happening? The Trump administration had aimed to make examples of sanctuary cities, which have policies not to cooperate with the federal government on immigration enforcement, by conducting mass arrests there first. Cities such as Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Denver, and DC are said to be possible early targets. Cities with large immigration shelter systems, including Los Angeles, Denver, and Miami, are also said to be targets. The Trump administration's immigration crackdown is said to have resulted in thousands of arrests already across the U.S. According to Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE, who is being targeted, Trump has repeatedly emphasized that migrants accused of crimes will be the initial targets for deportation, but he's also said all migrants in the U.S. illegally could be subject to deportations. Generally, undocumented immigrants could be arrested by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE. Those who aren't suspected of crimes but were found near people who are U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE targets could also be targeted. The Trump administration expanded a policy that allows federal officials to expedite deportations for migrants who cannot prove they have applied for asylum, have been in the U.S. for less than 2 years. Previously, officials were only allowed to process migrants for expedited removal who were apprehended within 100 miles of the border and could prove they had been in the U.S. for at least 2 weeks. But the expanded policy applies to the entire U.S. The American groups have challenged the expanded expedited removal rule in court. Why are mass deportations difficult? While Trump has said the deportations would begin very quickly, some of the operations will likely require Congress to approve additional funding, as ICE is said to already face a budget shortfall to maintain existing deportation levels in the current spending plan that reportedly expires on March 14th. There are also a limited number of beds to hold people in pre-deportation and planes to use for deportation flights. Though Trump ordered the military to assist with aircraft and detention space, and removals are only possible if countries are willing to accept deportees, posing a challenge as some countries like Colombia had earlier pushed back. Meanwhile, in Passaic, New Jersey, hundreds took to the streets of this immigrant-rich community to protest recent ICE raids and arrests, while also demanding statewide protections for immigrants. Organizers also handed out pamphlets so they know their rights if they're approached by ICE, and so they put a lot of hate into immigrants. Most of them are working their asses off and sending half their paycheck back home. And that brings us to the end of today's video regarding the latest from the United States regarding Trump's immigration and mass deportation crackdown, the immigration programs already affected, and how the crackdown is rippling across the U.S. If you found this information valuable and you're eager for more most updated information and immigration tips to successfully migrate, then kindly like and share our videos and subscribe to this channel. Then don't forget to hit the notification button to have all our future videos. If you need help, however, with specifics or individualized services in particular, please feel free to contact us by electronic mail and let's create this success story together. Thank you and see you at the next video.